Steve Harrington's brutal sacrifice to Eleven's confirmed death. Here is everyone who will die in Stranger Things Season 5 and why. Starting with our main villain, the scary-as-hell maestro of the upside-down Vecna is absolutely, positively set for his final battle. But though the story logic is crystal clear, to end this entire cosmic nightmare and save Hawkins from being swallowed whole, there's something interesting about this character. We know he needs to be eliminated, but wait, what if he doesn't die? Let's mess with that dark possibility for a minute. We've got to remember where Vecna actually came from. He wasn't some born-on-Mars demon. He was just Henry Creel, the freaky kid who became Experiment 001 at Hawkins' lab. Yeah, he was a sociopath with powers who killed his own family, but his real, slimy monster transformation was entirely thanks to Eleven. She's the one who basically rage-quit their fight back, tearing open the very first gate and throwing his butt into the dark dimension. It was in that terrifying, unknown place which, let's be honest, he was the first to explore and then totally reshape into the creepy hellscape we know that Henry Creel finally morphed into Vecna. His physical body got twisted and scarred, reflecting the pure hatred he was hoarding. His whole twisted deal with Eleven isn't just hero versus monster. It's a deeply messed up family feud. He doesn't just want to win, he wants to mentally destroy Eleven and the kids because he literally feeds on their deepest, most painful traumas. But no matter how wild the backstory is, the bottom line is Vecna opened 4 massive permanent gates, and now he's actively trying to merge his nightmare world with ours. He is the physical core of the danger. Vecna has to die to end this whole bloody nonsense. There's no talk of jail time and zero chance of a redemption arc. It has to be total, complete destruction. Still, what if the heroes totally whiff it? What if they just defeat him enough to knock him out, sending him back to his original Henry Creel self, leaving the door slightly open for another attack? If Vecna somehow survives, the story must still have a monumental cost. Who pays that price? Well, that brings us to the next person, a character whose death would be truly unbelievable, yet whose fate is completely linked to Vecna's defeat. Will Byers, we know he has survived through seasons 1 to 4. He was the very first kid kidnapped into the Upside Down, the one whose disappearance kicked off the entire story. But if you've noticed, by season 4, Will wasn't really in the spotlight anymore. His screen time was reduced, and his role seemed quieter. This could be a way of making everyone prepare for his pending death. Though his importance hasn't faded because Will carries the deepest connection to the Upside Down and to Vecna. From day 1, this whole nightmare started with him. Think about it. Vecna doesn't just attack randomly. He feeds off people's darkest moments, and Will has been carrying pain for so long. He's grown up isolated, different, and struggling with emotions he hasn't always been able to share. That makes him the perfect target for Vecna. On top of that, let's not forget part of Vecna still exists inside Will. That's been hinted at again and again, from the way he feels the Upside Down through his body to that chilling connection he can't shake. So if Vecna is to be destroyed once and for all, the truth is heartbreaking. Will's life may have to be the price. His death would bring the story full circle, closing the loop on the boy who was first taken and finally freeing Hawkins from Vecna's curse. Imagine it Will choosing to sacrifice himself, maybe even in a moment of ultimate bravery, cutting off Vecna's power by severing that bond inside him. It would be the saddest, most gut-wrenching scene in the entire series, but also the most powerful. And let's be real, fans would be devastated. Will has always been the quiet heart of the group, the one everyone fought to protect. Losing him would shatter the characters in us. Now, let's turn our attention to the character whose potential death would arguably devastate the entire fandom, Steve Harrington. The emotional weight Steve carries into this final season is simply immense. Considering his journey, he began the series as the arrogant, cocky king of Hawkins High, the character most viewers initially hate. Steve completely flipped that around. By the end of season 4, he wasn't just loved, he had become the heart and soul of the group. Fans even call him the babysitter because that's literally what he turned into, the one always watching out for the kids. He is, without question, the most beloved protector on the show, and that immense popularity is exactly why he sits atop everyone's death list. He's consistently the one throwing himself into the most danger, always on the front lines for Dustin, Robin, Max, and the others. It's almost a running gag how these kids just do not listen to him, ever. You've got Lucas seeking independence, Mike wanting to lead, and Dustin with his relentless, chaotic suggestions. So, when it comes to season 5, the writing is on the wall. If anyone is primed for a heroic sacrifice outside the people being connected to the Upside Down, then it's Steve Harrington. He'll give everything to save the people he loves most, whether that's Dustin, Robin, Mike, or Lucas. And let's not forget his feelings for Nancy. Deep down, Steve still wants to be there for her, to prove he can be the man she deserves. If he sacrifices himself, part of that act will be about protecting Nancy too, closing his journey with love and selflessness. Let's move on to the adults, and specifically the unsung, slightly erratic hero of the show, Murray Bauman. When Murray first showed up in Season 2, he was just a paranoid, hilariously disconnected private investigator living in a bunker, convinced there were Russian spies hiding in every shadow. Seriously, he was mainly there for comic relief and to help Jonathan and Nancy with their whole Barb situation. Nobody expected him to become one of the most reliable members of the Stranger Things team. But that's the thing about Murray, he was always an outsider. He was brought into the fold by necessity, not by deep personal bonds with the core party. Think about his emotional connection to the central conflict. He cares about Hopper and Joyce, absolutely. But his commitment is more to the cause, which is exposing the global conspiracy and saving the world, than to any deep-seated love for the town of Hawkins or the kids. He doesn't have a child to protect like Joyce, he doesn't have a love interest to save like Nancy, and he doesn't have a long history of self-sacrifice like Steve. His primary role is as an eccentric agent, a translator, a pilot, and a comic relief sidekick for Hopper and Joyce. And frankly, that's exactly why he is a prime candidate for a final season death. The show often kills off the supporting characters who have maximized their utility to the plot. Murray has been absolutely instrumental. He translated Russian, he helped save Hopper from a Russian prison, and he provided the crucial tactical support for Joyce. But now that the fight is back in Hawkins and the focus is on the emotional arcs of the main kids, Murray is, narratively speaking, expendable. Murray's death would be sad and a huge blow to Joyce and Hopper, but it's the perfect way to raise the stakes while protecting the Wheelers and Sinclairs. When we consider the narrative sacrifices required for the final season, we must address the most oblivious yet crucial member of the core family, Ted Wheeler. A Wheeler must die to truly illustrate the devastating, up-close costs of this final war. And Ted, the perpetual armchair snoozer, is the perfect candidate for a sharp, shocking exit. Ted has consistently been the poster child for suburban American detachment. His role in the series has been confined to the periphery, a figure of comic relief who is perpetually exhausted, completely unaware of the interdimensional war raging around his basement. His contributions include complaining about the volume, getting annoyed by the police presence, being baffled by his wife's restlessness, and occasionally grunting an unhelpful opinion from his easy chair. He's the ultimate symbol of the 1980s dad who has entirely checked out. This very obliviousness, however, makes him a prime candidate for a final season death. He has served his narrative purpose by providing contrast to Joyce's fierce maternal instincts and highlighting Karen's dissatisfaction with her life. Now the show can use him for maximum jarring impact. The most compelling argument for his demise comes from Nancy's vision in Season 4, Episode 7. Nancy told her friends that Vecna showed her a vision of Mike, Karen, and Holly's gruesome fates, but humorously excluded Ted. Some fans interpret this exclusion not as a sign of his safety, but as a setup for his unexpected, undignified, or early death that Nancy wasn't shown, or simply that he was too irrelevant even for Vecna to care about in his vision. If the final season opens with the chaos of the Upside Down pouring into Hawkins, Ted is guaranteed to be caught completely flat-footed. He wouldn't die a heroic death like Bob Newby. He would likely be a sudden, almost slapstick casualty of the invasion, perhaps stumbling out of the kitchen demanding to know who's eating his tuna salad before being taken. His death would not be a tragedy of profound loss for the audience, but a brutal, visceral reminder to Mike and Nancy that even the mundane symbols of their old lives are now vulnerable. He is the easiest character to lose while simultaneously raising the emotional stakes for the main cast, giving him the unique narrative weight of the sacrificial bystander. Let's cut right to the hardest conversation we have to have about the final season. If there's one character whose death would be the most shattering, yet make the most powerful narrative sense, it's Eleven. She's absolutely the heart and soul of this entire saga, the superpowered protector who has saved Hawkins so many times. But let's be real, precisely because she's the hero, precisely because she's the one destined to face Vecna in the final showdown, her death is a tragically strong possibility. Eleven is the direct counter to Vecna, the only one with the power to truly destroy him. Their destinies are completely tangled up. She accidentally created him, and now she must finally unmake him. This isn't just a battle, it's a cosmic, zero-sum reckoning between two beings tethered by shared trauma and immense power. For a story about a hero saving the world from the biggest evil imaginable, the most powerful, most heartbreaking ending is the hero making the ultimate sacrifice. She would push herself beyond human limits, using every last bit of her strength to sever Vecna's connection to the Upside Down, close those gates forever, and finally wipe him off the map. This kind of sacrifice would be the absolute peak of her character arc. She started as a scared, abused kid in a lab, always told she was a monster. To end the series as the self-sacrificing savior of humanity would redefine her entire existence. It would be an incredibly profound moment, proving that her power, which is truly fueled by love for Mike, Hopper, and her friends, is stronger than Vecna's pure, cold hatred. The emotional fallout would be devastating. It's the kind of brutal, beautiful ending that leaves you destroyed but satisfied. It's the hero's death that guarantees everyone else's safety once and for all. I can't wait to see how everything unfolds.